In Mass Effect 3, Shepard has to make a lot of difficult choices, and during the ending, the choices that the commander is presented with are galaxy-spanning and will change the course of galactic history forever. But the ending isn't the only part of the game where Shepard has to choose one thing over the other. Throughout the story of all three Mass Effect games, we see so many variables and outcomes depending on what we do. But which of these variables are going to be referenced in the next Mass Effect game? Well, let's explore the possibilities, shall we? How's it going, guys? MrHulthen here, and first of all, I have to mention that there are some choices that flat out are probably not going to be canonized per se, such as who activated the bomb on Virmire, because no matter who you choose, the outcome is the same. The same goes for probably any and all minor side missions that you complete, such as Overlord, where Shepard can either let Cerberus experiment on David or send him to the Alliance. Loyalty missions for your squadmates in Mass Effect 2 are probably also not going to be referenced to at all. The biggest issues with including these is that it would certainly be way too much work to reference all of them. But that is not the only issue here. The biggest obstacles for having any mention of our squadmates whatsoever is, number 1, it's possible that the next Mass Effect game takes place hundreds of years into the future. And if this is the case, then number 2, Shepard is likely not the protagonist or player character, which would remove any real necessity to reference the old squadmates at all. There are, however, a few exceptions. The first one is obviously Liara, who we can even see in the teaser trailer and possibly in this poster. Another character that looks to be making a return could be Rex, but this is just speculation based on the coloration of this individual's armor on the poster. And then we have the third possibility, that being Grunt. Now, we haven't seen anything that could lead us to believe Grunt is actually going to make a return, but the fact is that he was still a baby in terms of age after Mass Effect 2. Which leads me to believe that at least he will make an appearance, since Krogan don't seem to have a natural limit to their lifespan. So in all these three cases, yes, references to the old game could indeed make it. Maybe Rex mentions his friendship with Shepard and their adventures together. Grunt maybe references how Shepard helped him become a true and respected Krogan. Heck, Grunt and Rex could possibly mention our other squadmates if that were the case, so they could be sort of walking nostalgia bombs that lets us relive our memories from the trilogy. Now let's talk about the ones that will actually matter though, the big choices. And naturally we have to start with the Rachni Queen. Did she get spared by Shepard or was she incinerated?
I won't destroy your entire race. You'll go free.
This matters because the Rachni Queen will remember what Shepard did for her. In Mass Effect 3, she will have been captured by the Reapers if you let her live. But you can save her again, which frees the Rachni from the Reapers forever. If you chose to kill the Rachni Queen, the one you encounter in Mass Effect 3 is a clone, and if you choose to release her, her workers will betray you and you'll lose war assets. So while you may not think that the Rachni Queen is important, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that it is, because the Rachni are most probably still around after Mass Effect 3, like we see in one of the versions of the ending. Case in point, the real Rachni Queen surviving will most likely be canonized if anything, because if she isn't, the Rachni would probably all be dead here. Now to the second one. Did Shepard save the Council or were they left to die? This is another galaxy-spanning choice that will shape the view of humans from the other species of the galaxy. Will humanity be remembered as saviors or as opportunists? This could be another choice that affects how people view you in the next game, if we are to play as a human again, that is. And what do I think that the canon choice would be here? Well, that the Council survived after Shepard called for Joker to help them. And what do I base this off of? Well, check this out. This is the official statistics of choices made by players. As you can see, even if the Council died, the majority of players chose another alien council to take their place. So no matter what, in all likelihood, the galaxy probably perceives Shepard and humanity in a better light than we think. But this isn't the only thing we see in this picture. As previously mentioned, we can also see that the majority of people chose to save the Rachni Queen, and then again chose to help her in Mass Effect 3, while most people chose to destroy the Rachni breeder clone. There are a bunch of things that we could surmise from these statistics, and I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I'd bet that Bioware is looking at these stats to give them a rough outline of what the galaxy looks like in Mass Effect 4. Now I'm going to skip right over to Mass Effect 3 and the choices therein, because the only real choice you make in Mass Effect 2 is whether you give the Collector base to the Elusive Man or destroy it. But considering that Cerberus still managed to recover the base even if you destroy it, it honestly wouldn't matter. So, the Krogan Genophage. Will it be cured, or did Shepard sabotage it and ruin the Krogan's chances of rebuilding? Well, looking at the stats, thankfully 96% of players chose to cure the Krogan of the Genophage, and if there's any choice that's almost guaranteed to be canon, it's this one. But even if you chose not to cure the Genophage, it may not matter much, because as we see in Mass Effect Andromeda, the Krogan that joined the Andromeda Initiative have supposedly built a resistance to it during their journey on the Arcs. This would mean that if Mass Effect 4 takes place at least 600 years into the future, then the Krogan could effectively be cured of the Genophage by the passage of time alone. And then, the conflict between the Geth and the Quarians. Who won? Well, according to the stats, both did, as Shepard brokered peace between them by a degree of 80%. While this number is lower than the players that cured the Genophage, 80% is still a large majority of players. And for the ones that had to choose, I doubt that most people chose either side because they wanted to. Because believe it or not, a surprisingly large amount of people didn't know that there are hidden prerequisites to being able to achieve peace. I would say that this number would probably have been around 90% if it was easier to achieve peace. Now, looking at the recent poster for the next game, it's pretty clear, at least to me, that the Quarian and the Geth will make some form of appearance. Being as entrenched in the Mass Effect universe as I am, I just have this hunch that the Quarians and Geth will be a united people in Mass Effect 4/5. And throughout the story of the next game, someone or something attacks a planet inhabited by them, evident by the bodies in this crater. Then who attacked them? Well, I have a theory on that as well, which I've talked about in another video, so go check that out later. Anyway, these are all the main choices that will probably be referenced somehow in the next game. But I haven't delved too much into the biggest choice of all yet. The ending. While I've talked about the endings of Mass Effect 3 numerous times in other videos, this has been from my own assumptions, because the general consensus is that the Destroy ending will be the canon one. Yes? Well, not so fast. Here, let's look at the stats page. Right off the bat, we can tell that no, the perfect Destroy ending isn't necessarily guaranteed to be a canon choice. Even if 45% is still a huge chunk of all players, the fact of the matter is that the majority of players chose something else. And I'm actually pretty surprised at how many players chose Synthesis as well as Control. Now obviously the refusal ending can't be canon at all, because then the Milky Way would have been harvested and Liara wouldn't be alive. But if we just look at Control, Synthesis and Destroy, it's pretty apparent that it's 50-50. So if Bioware chose to use the perfect Destroy ending as a baseline, this would mean that more than half of the player base would be alienated. And then we haven't even considered that the statistics only showed the Destroy option overall, which also includes the worst outcome of destroying the Reapers, where the Earth gets burnt to a crisp and the galaxy is set on flames. And the perfect Destroy ending is also pretty difficult to achieve, as you need to basically do every side mission and get the best possible outcomes of the major stories to even have a possibility to pick it. So, the ending where Shepard takes a breath at the end of the credits, the amount of people that actually got this on their first playthrough is probably a lot lower than the number suggests here. Probably half that at maybe 20% or so. So Bioware is in a real bind here. How could they realistically ensure that the end choice matters without them having to reference every single thing that happened throughout the trilogy? Well, by setting the next game relatively far into the future, which I've talked about in one of my earliest videos on YouTube. But essentially, it would come down to the next Mass Effect being set approximately 600 plus years into the future, at which point the choices could be mentioned but not be the focus of the story. The Catalyst's solution, Synthesis, only lasted for a generation. The Reapers are gone, so Shepard still succeeded, even if the solution didn't work. Control made Shepard an unstoppable AI that policed the galaxy. At which point, maybe the Shepard AI realized the effects it had on the freedom of the galaxy, so the AI just straight up left. The Destroy option, well, destroyed the Reapers, and the synthetics that were destroyed, like the Geth, could have been uploaded to a shielded server in case that would happen, so they simply survived. Or they were rebuilt by the Quarians. Either way, this could all be explained in relatively simple ways. And going by the statistics from Mass Effect Legendary Edition, I think that at least some of the major choices are going to be made canon, while the ending is variable. But what do you guys think? Will these choices be made canon? Was there something I missed? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, have a great day guys. MrHulthen signing out.